Hey, what's going on, everyone? In this video, I'm going to show you 5 effective strategies to build the best content editor and brief for your content marketing plans, strategies, anything to make the most out of the Surfer SEO tool. So before I get started, in the content editor, right, you have a box in which you can import either via comma separated values, copy and paste, anything you want to do right into this editor for keywords. You can do up to 20 keywords. I suggest usually importing as many relevant keywords as possible to make sure that your content editor is as defined as it can possibly be, to the most defined it can possibly be, to be effective and make the most out of the editor itself. So I do go up to 20. That doesn't always mean that I'll always use that, because if you do have longer tail keywords, very specific topics, you might want to just stick to a core set. But if you have something where you have a longer tail keyword as a title with a stretch goal of getting to that parent keyword, and we'll get into it in a bit, you'll want to make your editor most as robust as possible. And the most effective way to get the most out of this tool is to do exactly that. But then also you don't need to overthink it too much. I mean, you should deploy all 5 of these strategies, and they should be somewhat of a quick analysis, because down the road, right, if you write evergreen content, down the road, you're going to always be optimizing. Like I said, with that stretch goal of getting to that parent keyword, you're going to have to change and optimize over time. So potentially you'll run another content editor on that same URL, which is why they have the import content from URL. Whatever editor we create, 6 months down the road, we could take that URL and run a little bit different tweaks of keywords on top of that URL to really further optimize it, and even use Google Search Console keyword data to get more precise in actual search volumes. And so from here, let's start getting into the strategies. You can put into 20. What I like to do is this, my site is mainly optimized for mobile, and I do target a US audience, but with a content editor, you can get all the way down to the city level in the United States, and then countries across the world, right? And even regions across the world. So depending on where you are and what who your target audience is, definitely hone in on this. And if you do have more of a desktop audience, don't be afraid to use the desktop crawler. That's good for like business searches or finance related searches. And so anybody that uses desktop, throughout the day, anyone that's working and using those queries, that's a great, option to use. If you're in something that's like more personal, weekend kind of listicles and things like that, you'll want to use the mobile crawler. Things like travel, leisure topics, lifestyle, food, all of that good stuff. And so now let's get into the fun stuff, which is the actual strategy to deploy. The first strategy that I like to do is and to deploy is, of course, Ahrefs, right? It doesn't get much better than Ahrefs as a keyword explorer and a keyword tool. This is a tool that I use every single day, and I don't know what I would do without it. I'm probably a forever customer. And so let's say we run a finance site, and we've targeted and identified the core keyword to build our outline around as investment thesis. I'm going to run that through Ahrefs and the Keyword Research Explorer, and you'll see a lot of things here. And this is why it's so powerful, is because you can take a number of different things from the keyword ideas on a terms match basis, which means investment thesis, examples, and then even some questions that also are overlapped here. And so we use investment thesis, example, what is an investment thesis, input, how to create, I like that variation, how to write an investment thesis. Not just using the matching tool, you can also go down here and see what other people are, what other URLs their top keyword is, and you can see the volume here. So we're getting a good popping down. You can see there's 800 different kind of matches. So I'll do examples. I like template. That's a good one. So now that we've done this, I think another good strategy, let's get into the second strategy to deploy, is actually looking within that keyword research overview within Ahrefs and taking either the number 1 or the number 2 ranking URL. And so in this instance, it's Investopedia. As you can see, right, they rank for only 42 keywords, but they have 2 times as much traffic, right? So they've done a good job of grabbing that number 1 spot for the number 1 overall keyword. So if you can kind of blend it, make content that's a little bit in the 1 to 2 and make it even better than Investopedia, you'll probably be in good shape. But this gets you now variations of like the definition, because their article's more about the definition. And so we wouldn't have captured by just using the keyword explorer and the terms match. So this is the second strategy, right? Just looking at that top ranking URL and running these through your editor. I think this article itself will be more like a how to write an investment thesis, but incorporate some of the definitional plans for us to try to kind of move up to that parent topic, which is just this keyword alone. Right now, right off the bat, if you can see on the difficulty scores, 7, longer tail keyword, how to write an investment thesis. If we can focus a bit more on this as an optimization, we're going to get immediate sort of traffic. It's lower competition. But then let's incorporate some themes in the editor to, example and those parent keywords to build around. So I'll bring in a few more. Let's see here. We have finance thesis, investment theses, it's plural. Sample. I think that's good for now. And then when you've done that, a good way to cross-check some of your work there is certainly by using the keyword research tool within Surfer SEO. So if we have run investment thesis, investment theses, how to write an investment thesis, what is an investment thesis? So now we have I like having it a little bit short because then we won't get too specific on the relevance. The reason why this is good, I like using Ahrefs to generate more ideas, see some good, have the most robust data in terms of volume and difficulty, and then cross-checking that, because the keyword research tool in Surfer SEO, in my opinion, is very, very good on clustering similarity on SERPs. So now you can get into like definitional meaning type keywords, right? Investment thesis definition. Let's make sure that we have that, and then we make sure we have, I think we have example. Make sure we have examples. We have that, what is, and then investment thesis examples. And we have that plural as well. So right now we've got some good, we have sample, the variation, probably skip that one because I like the outline as well. Okay, I like the diversity here that we've built between this, and I think that's good for now. Obviously, you could break it down by private equity thesis, venture capital, maybe even public market investing, but startup, hedge fund, you can break it all down. I think we're getting a little too defined there. So let's get over to now the fourth strategy, which would be using Google search itself, right? There's no better data point than this out there. And as you type, you get the related examples, definition, slide, stock pitch, example, private equity. So we have some of these. The PDF could be good if we do have a PDF that we can incorporate into the content. I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to scan. I haven't seen any related, also asked, here we go. People also asked, here you go. How do you write? And I like using Google search in particular for the also asked part, and then the related at the bottom to make sure that we're also capturing the latent search intent type keywords, right? And so startup investment thesis, stock investment thesis example. How do you write? So stock investment thesis example, and popping over here, investment thesis versus investment strategy. See, I like that, because then now, and we would have never caught that. I don't see that really here. And that's how we can really differentiate the brief from some of the competition. And I don't see it really clustering here, but Google's sort of recommending in search that that's something that is within their cluster of searches. Creating, that's a little bit of a differentiator between how to. And then I think that's good for this. Let's check the people also asked. Like, let's get this by getting the private equity angle. So I think that's good in terms of Google itself and using the data points within Google. From here then, right, you're probably wondering, okay, so what's the fifth strategy? You probably see already when I scan through, the SERPs on my screen here, the best way to do this, and this probably will take make this the most efficient way to do it, is having the Ahrefs Chrome extension, as well as the keyword Surfer Chrome extension. So you'll see here on the right, I can actually copy this entire list if I wanted to, and see how it pastes. It would paste just as separated values within there. You can even run that within, copy Ahrefs data and create a little keyword cluster off of that within Surfer to cross-check your resources. In addition, at the bottom, you can see then here, you can actually generate an article right off of these keyword clusters, but in my opinion, more data points the better. And I like the volume of Ahrefs, combined with the relevancy here on the data points. This is the creating investment thesis. See how Surfer suggests more VC? And so the reason why this is a very, very good tool for relevancy, right? Creating an investment thesis matches intent. The person searching creating investment thesis is likely going to be a person that is sophisticated on investment thesis themselves, but they might have a specific angle. They might work for a venture capital firm or a private equity firm where they are looking to, find a form of investment thesis for their shop that they work at, their fund. And so if you do the generic term, let's compare it. It's more of informational content, right? Example, samples, and then it breaks down into the pitches and private equity. I want to make sure that we have sample in here. We do. And then do we have samples? And I don't know what count we're at. We might be getting close. And so that's the fifth. And so you can do that a lot quicker and a lot more efficient than inputting on your own. I still don't mind doing it, hand picking them, because it helps me kind of see and think about how it's going to come alive and, really bring the strategy all together. And so, but at the end of the day, having this here, you can, make your life much easier, compare and run, see if this is finished. It looks like it's taken a bit, but let's see if it can reload. Here we go. And then, right, you could copy and bring this in and then have a more defined cluster. All of these are exportable, so you could export this and then run it through, or do your own data analysis. You can export anything that you bring in from like a keyword match, of course, from Ahrefs. So always, remember to use that if you prefer Excel or doing data analysis without the web. And so then from here, I'm going to actually create this. I think we have enough to build our cluster. Let's let it run, and we'll come back once it's finished to go into the settings and details within the brief to build out a more effective brief. Okay, now that we've created the actual brief, or the content editor and brief, based off of location, United States, and after running it, I would say that we may have wanted to run it off of desktop. I think we had mobile selected, but just a tip, right? I think since this is a finance demographic, a lot of people will be on their computers, on their desktop computer, searching this rather than mobile. So I'll click through, and they'll set up the editor. What a lot of people don't know is you can really go into this gearbox to customize this. And really you can customize this as, basically your brief, right? This is your brief to go off of, and you can share this with anyone, with your writers or even, yourself, your content manager, anyone to really go off of and tweak it. What I like doing is, in particular, scan the competition as much as possible. The reason why is because, this is the crux of really building that cluster of natural language processing, latent search intent keywords, and the actual outline headers. The whole crux of this editor is really driven off of existing pages. So I like this one because the way we would want to go with it is sort of writing this how to create an investment thesis with sort of the general goal of getting to what is. We want this really robust definition. I still like these because really kind of the highest traffic, the highest visibility is trying to rank for just investment thesis. You kind of do need this definitional, but then, what we're going to try to go to is within that, it's kind of this approach here of definition and then how to write it, because you can kind of rank for how to write one, get some visibility, kind of wait 6 months, re-optimize with the goal of trying to bump up into that kind of definitional, informational angle. This one, probably not. Investment thesis template. You should know. I think these are all good. And then getting down to some of these is just, might not be, and this is specific to different companies. So I'm going to, so you could hit let's go, and that'll tweak it. In addition, now that adjusts the words, because some of the clustering on the words and the word count for the top, ranking pages are much lower than what was initially selected. At times you do want to consider importing or selecting different terms. You can do that. You can do that either in just sort of recommendation basis right here below, or bulk import. I generally do not mess around with adding this too much. And you can also see what will show and select what will show as topics and questions. I like keeping these in there as much as possible. I do still like the data referenced. But if you do share this and you encourage your writers to be based off of this, select only the ones you really want, right? For me, it's a bit more of creating this, passing along the editor, and allowing them to use as much as possible to craft the article that's best for the reader experience. So I keep as many data points in there as possible rather than customize it. But you can also do that and customize this to be more defined for your writers or for yourself or your manager, as well as then include actual notes for the brief, things like affiliate partners to use, specific definitions, number of items to use in the list. You can even insert competitors, right, to do allow for the writer to have competitive analysis within the brief. So I only changed just the URLs. At instances too, I would change maybe the header minimums and the image minimums. But for this one, I'm not going to toy around with it because this one is an article that's not super defined at the moment. We're going to kind of blend two strategies together, and then as the article ranks in Google, use and leverage that data that we get there to make the article that much better. And so then I hit let's go. I have all of my content editor and content brief created. Those are the strategies to build the most effective one. And then simply you just click here, copy the link, or create a new Google document and share it with your team. Thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button if you do like creating content as much as me and you like learning more strategies about how to be effective with your content. Thanks for watching. Cheers.